All right, let's talk about taking AI to the next level. We're moving beyond the one-size-fits-all models and into a world where you can create an AI that truly understands your business. We're going to dive into how Amazon Bedrock lets you customize foundation models so they get your internal data, they master your specific tasks, and ultimately give you a serious competitive edge.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the why. Why even bother with this? Then we'll get into the how by exploring Bedrock's toolkit. We'll cover the essential prep work for your data and security, walk through launching the actual job, and finally put our brand new custom model to work.
Okay, so let's start with that big question. With all these incredibly powerful AI models already out there, why would you go through the trouble of customizing one?
Look, a general-purpose foundation model is brilliant, no question about it. But it's never seen your internal wikis, it doesn't know your specific product names or your industry's unique slang. It's kind of like hiring a world-renowned genius who doesn't speak your company's language. You need a specialist, and bridging that knowledge gap, that's what makes customization an absolute game changer.
So what do we really mean when we say model customization? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's the process of taking one of these powerful, pre-trained models and then showing it your data to make it better at a very specific job. The whole goal is to boost its performance for your use case, whether that's summarizing legal briefs, writing marketing emails in your brand's unique voice, or anything in between.
So how do you actually pull this off? Well, this is where it gets cool. Bedrock doesn't just give you one option, it gives you a whole toolkit with different tools for different jobs.
In your toolkit, you've got three main methods: distillation, fine-tuning, and continued pre-training. Now, each one serves a very different purpose and uses different kinds of data, so picking the right one isn't just a technical decision, it's a strategic one.
Now, these names can sound a little intimidating, but they're much easier to understand with a few analogies. Think of distillation like a master chef teaching an apprentice a single perfect recipe. You use a big, powerful teacher model to train a smaller, more efficient student model. Fine-tuning? That's like a classical musician learning to play jazz. You're teaching an existing, skilled model a totally new style using specific examples. And continued pre-training is like a scholar absorbing an entire new library of books. You're just feeding the model vast amounts of your internal documents to teach it new domain knowledge.
Let's zoom in and compare the two most common methods head-to-head. The key difference really comes down to their primary goals. You choose distillation when speed and cost are your top priorities. You end up with a brand new, compact model that's super efficient at one thing. You choose fine-tuning, on the other hand, when you need the absolute best accuracy on a specific task. You aren't creating a new model from scratch. You're just sharpening the skills of the original one.
Okay, let's get practical. Before you can train anything, you have to get two things right. Your data needs to be in the right format, and you need to give Bedrock secure access to it. Trust me, getting this prep work right is absolutely critical. First up, the data format. Bedrock has one very specific rule here. Your training data has to be in a JSON lines file. That's a file ending in .jsll. It's a really simple format, actually. All it means is that every single line in the file is its own self-contained JSON object. So for fine-tuning, for example, each line would be a little package containing a prompt and its perfect completion.
All right, next up, security. This is all handled with AWS IAM. Now, this can sound complex, but think of it like hiring a temporary contractor. First, you create a special ID badge just for Bedrock. That's the service role. Then you program that badge so it can only open one door. The S3 bucket where your training data lives. That's the permission. And finally, you establish a trust relationship, which is basically you telling your security system that it's okay for Bedrock to use that specific badge for this job. Okay, deep breath. Your data is perfectly formatted, your permissions are all set. Now comes the exciting part, actually running the customization job and creating your new specialized model. So whether you're clicking through the AWS console or using the API, you're going to need to provide a few key pieces of info. You'll pick your base model, give your job a unique name, and point Bedrock to where your data lives in S3. You'll also set the hyperparameters. Don't let that word scare you. They're just the settings that control how the training process works. And finally, you tell Bedrock where to put the results when it's all done. And after the job is finished, Bedrock gives you a report card in your output S3 bucket. You're mainly looking at two big scores here: training loss and perplexity. And the simple rule is you want both of these numbers to be low. A low loss means the model was a good student and learned your data well. And low perplexity means it's not easily confused by new things, which is a great sign that it's confident in its new skills.
All right, the training's done. You've got this powerful custom-built AI model. So now what? How do you actually put this thing to work in your applications?
You have two main ways to deploy your model, and they each have different performance and cost setups. If you need rock-solid, high-speed performance for a busy production app, you'll want to buy provisioned throughput. That's like reserving your own dedicated fast lane on the highway. But if your app's traffic is more bursty or unpredictable, the on-demand option is perfect. You just pay per token for what you use, exactly like you do with a standard model.
And here's the crucial detail for using it. Once your model is deployed, it gets its own unique ID, which is called an Amazon Resource Name, or ARN. From that moment on, whenever your application makes an API call to Bedrock, you just use this special ARN as the model ID. It's really that simple. Your application is now officially talking to your custom-trained specialist AI.
So, let's just quickly recap the big points. Customization is all about making AI speak your language and excel at your tasks. You've got three powerful methods to pick from: distillation, fine-tuning, or continued pre-training. And your choice depends entirely on your goal. Remember, getting that data format and your IAM permissions sorted out beforehand is half the battle. And finally, you've got flexible deployment options to match your app's needs, whether it's all-out performance or pay-as-you-go flexibility.
So there you have it. That's the playbook for creating your own bespoke AI. You now have the toolkit to build a model that isn't just generally intelligent, but is intelligent in the specific ways that matter to you. So the only real question left is, what's the very first unique skill you're going to teach your AI?